Welcome to the Innervision Business Beyond Barriers podcast. This podcast shines a light on Black and ethnically minoritised-led businesses across the Liverpool City region.
Exploring ambition, resilience, growth and the realities of building businesses beyond structural and systemic barriers.
Hosted by me, Joanne, founder and director of Innervision.
And the former mayor of Liverpool. Alongside myself, Yaw Owusu, creative consultant and music industry strategist.
Each episode features a single founder from the Innervision Business Growth Programme and a few special guests.
Together, we explore how lived experiences shape leadership, how culturally responsive support can unlock growth, and what it really takes to build a sustainable, thriving business on their own terms.
This is Innervision Business Beyond Barriers podcast.
Can you tell us who you are, the name of your business, and what it does?
Yeah, I'm Yvonne Hansen. I'm the founder of Pathways to Alignment, and it's a programme that offers online courses, in-person programmes and retreats, and it's all about female empowerment and helping women overcome life challenges.
So I've been thinking about this lately, and I think it's no surprise, it won't be a surprise to anyone about my leisure time spent on social media, but there's a woman I follow who was talking about sort of cafes and restaurants and stuff. Now, everyone who starts business that way on our group, there's something they're passionate about, something they want to do, but actually middle-aged women have got a bit of dough. Especially ones who are divorced and come out of long-term relationships, and actually as a target audience, are quite a good market to try and access, especially because, reaching a certain stage, and I won't make assumptions about you, but reaching the menopause in life and how your life changes, it is an absolute life change where you do need to look at yourself again, especially if you've been in relationships you don't like and jobs you don't like, or, brought up a loads of kids and they've all left home. It's a big transition phase, isn't it? I'd say more painful than adulthood, more painful than being a teenager. So what kinds of customers are you going for? Is it a specific age group? Is it all women?
So yeah, I'm mainly targeting women between the ages of 40 to 65, and they're just as you described. I kind of think of her as a woman a bit like myself. She's got a bit of life experience behind her. She's got a few war wounds along the way. Life has sometimes happened to her rather than... and this is like a platform for her to kind of take stock, reassess, consider the life that she wants to now live, prioritise herself, which I think is a big one for women.
Being even selfish women like me. But I'm an only child. I've got brothers and sisters, and, only child to my mother. And I think I've been quite good at being selfish, and I've been divorced for over 20 years, I think, or something about that time. And I couldn't possibly put someone else first. But then I still find, obviously, my child.
I know, Paul Lewis is watching this going.
He's definitely knows he's number one. But, that time to myself now, I can't imagine sharing that with someone else or putting more energy into someone else than myself, because I'm still not giving enough to myself.
Well, I think I'm probably the other end of the spectrum. So I think I've kind of grown up and I've kind of realised I've been in service.
To others.
I've been in service to family, to friends, to work, and constantly put myself to one side or last on the list. But now that my children have gone through school, been to university, got them settled, now it's time to kind of rediscover myself. We've all had those kind of relationships, as you said, and I've learned lots of lessons. I'm sure said I think everyone can write a book about their own life history. I think I've probably experienced quite an eclectic amount of different experiences, and I could probably write a series of books.
So what made you start the business? Was it you going through that period yourself in terms of like reflecting and going, actually, I want to do this, or was it, you know, did the idea come from elsewhere?
Well, I came to a bit of a crisis in my life. This is going back 20-something years. My daughter passed away. I was quite ambitious. It was in the corporate world. You know, I wasn't a 9-to-5. I was going in doing. I just wanted to get up that corporate ladder, and then everything just kind of changed overnight, and I ended up like retraining. I wanted something that was purposeful for me, but maybe not that same type of corporate pressure.
Yeah.
So I retrained as a holistic therapist, and I worked with many different people who had high pressure jobs. I worked for Merseyside Police, in the NHS, for staff in the NHS. And then I kind of did a full circle because I'd got support from a bereavement centre, and then I had the opportunity to go and help other parents there. So that was a good fit for me, and it felt like a bit of a legacy for my daughter. So I loved that. But what I found was it wasn't, although they had this big, massive, like, life, life-altering, I would say, experience. As they were navigating that process, life was still happening.
And
you know, and there was all other things getting really thrown at people.
Bizarre thing about death, and you know, the first time I kind of experienced anyone, and it was my boyfriend's mother at the time, I found it really unusual that life was carrying on while we were dealing with their death. And, you know, obviously it was my boyfriend's mother, but, you know, it wasn't a close relative of mine, but I just couldn't believe the world was carrying on while this really sad thing has happened.
Yeah. But although you have that kind of concept, and you want your life's kind of stopped and slowed down, and everything's going on around you, but life's still happening to you as well.
Yeah.
So you've still got bills to pay. You've still got issues with the school. You've still got finances to worry about. You know, you've still got like menopause to think, relationship issues, all these other things were just, they don't stop.
But I would imagine that people do stop a bit and their life goes on hold. So was your kinds of, when you're talking about holistic therapies, are you trying to move people, well, Pathways to Alignment, kinds of names in the title really, are you trying to get people to find themselves again, to reboot?
So it's based on the concept of, which I love, all roads lead to Rome.
Yeah.
So there's not just one road from A to B.
Yeah.
So I always try and say, like, let's figure out where you are.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what roads that you need to take that suits you. What pace you need to go at, because everyone's pace is different. And give yourself the credit as well that for every kind of conscious step forward, you are moving to alignment.
That it is a step forwards, because I think people are the harshest on themselves, aren't they, than anyone else. Interesting that you talk about being in the corporate world and being ambitious. One of my, you won't believe this about me, but one of my really motivating songs is Dolly Parton, Working 9 to 5. I remember I used to drag myself out of the bed sometimes when I was young because I was ambitious, not from a corporate perspective, but I wanted to achieve things. And
was that your theme song?
There was just stuff that get me out of bed. I was have to hum it to myself or put it on while I was on the shower. But I remember reading a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway when I was 19. I'm really glad I read that book at that age. But and it was dealing with a lot of, I can't remember what I was doing, but I was learning about people who'd sort of worked in the city and got burnt out, and then they were going volunteer and, you know, stuff. I think because I'd always volunteered and I was brought up around the voluntary sector, and I was like, oh, I've done it the wrong way around. Like, I've volunteered. And even now, I remember a couple of years ago, you asked me to go on a board and I was like, not if I'm not getting paid. Like, I've volunteered since I was 16. I've done my time. But actually...
Still hates that, by the way.
But actually, it talks about having your ladder up against the wrong wall or the wrong tree or whatever the post is at. And I thought, oh, you've got to be really conscious and some presence here about what you do want, because you can just get on a treadmill or the rat race, get in the rat race and be pushing and actually end up, I was only 20 but 50 years of age and your ladder's been up the wrong tree.
Mm-hmm. But I was wondering then, sorry, you said about them working out where they are and which path. Is a lot of it also where they actually want to end up? Like, that end goal, is that a big...
Because what I was going to say then was what it's took me several years to kind of figure out is I can be still ambitious.
Yeah.
I can still be strong. I can still want very good outcomes for myself. I don't need to do it in that prescriptive, someone else's prescriptive way.
Of what success is.
Or in that corporate way. Yeah. I want people to kind of live in their authentic selves, because sometimes we do it. And then when we come home, we can't live with ourselves. Or we're living a life that is burning us out. Yeah. It's just not fulfilling. We're succeeding in one way, but we're not succeeding for ourselves.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's an interesting thing around money and concepts and what's success. So I think, I've grown up in the voluntary sector, so, that giving was always important. When I first come across the term social business when I was about 20, I remember thinking, oh, I'm at home here. I want to be in business and I want to care about people. And, social enterprise was a big thing in our city back then. I've become a little bit more focused on enterprise and not just social enterprise, even though I work in social enterprise, because what's wrong with wanting money for myself? What's wrong with not always giving to somebody else? But I really can't get myself out of bed in the morning unless I'm having impact and rewards. My rewards is impact on others. And we've had this conversation, haven't we? So I did go private. I think I was about 28. No, I might have been a bit older. And I remember just buying myself these shoes and handbags and that going, there's only so many shoes and handbags you can have. That's not giving me that fulfillment that it used to be when I was trying to prove that this social enterprise was it was more kind of coached in, success of businesses black businesses from Liverpool. And I was trying to prove that we were the best, not just because we're black, don't take us on for that, take us on for the best. And once I lost that, it was like, shoes and handbags giving me about 5 minutes of joy and then it's over with. So I can make money out of helping others, and that's what I really try to do in a focus. But I would like a business idea for me personally that isn't about me as the product, because much as I've been quite selfish in terms of, from a husband and wife point of view, which I'm very proud of, I descended men a long time ago out of my life. But in terms of me not being the burnout, me giving or just developing something that makes money for me that isn't just being about burnout. But I would say critically,
I've kind of had to unlearn a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I realised that they were being impressed upon me, maybe subconsciously, that you have to put on all these extra hours, you have to do it this way. And actually, when I had the freedom to do it my own way, I realised that I got a better impact.
Yeah.
And people warmed to me more because I was just being myself.
Authentic self.
And you think, what could be harder than supporting families who've lost a child? And can I make a difference in their lives? Because you can't undo what's happened. And the feedback was that, I was making a real impact. And it wasn't just the therapies that I was giving them. It was something about me and my advice and my perspective.
Your lived experience as well.
Yeah. And sometimes I'd say to them, there'll be a time when we have a session and we'll have a laugh. And they was like, we won't have a laugh. I'm here because of something very serious. And they did. They would. And I think there's a power in that.
Yeah.
There's a power in being able to make people feel that they can still have a fulfilling life.
But they can still be themselves and laugh even though this terrible thing has happened, because guilt, I would imagine, and all kinds of emotions come into that. So this business is about women in particular. And not particularly linked to any kinds of life experience that's tragic, but about just women finding themselves again.
Exactly.
And, you know, finding the North Star, their alignment and where they want to go. So what kinds of products do you offer that? You talked about being on platform, but you're talking about a retreat, aren't you, and things like that you want to do?
Oh, yeah, I can't wait for my first retreats. Because I've been on a few myself.
Yeah.
And I just think that special time away with a group of like-minded people.
Yeah.
And especially, I've done it deliberately because I think women sometimes, they kind of keep that little lifeline to the family going, oh, well, if someone calls me, I'll just bob home. And to make them completely cut off and devote the time to themselves and really think about where they are in their lives and where they want to go forward. Because I was at an event once and I was sitting on a table there was 8 women around that table. And we were talking about our experiences, our skills, our education. And what I realised was this was just a fantastic group of women.
Yeah, got so much.
It had so much to offer. And it just wasn't being maximised. And part of that was something to do with us. Yeah. And part of it was obviously changing perceptions of other people. Yeah,
and society's kind of perception of women. So menopause-wise, evolutionary terms, we were supposed to just die after the menopause.
Is that facts?
Yeah, facts.
How disappointing for anyone.
How disappointing that we carry on living. But no, why the world needs us is grandmothers and babysitting, basically. That's why they need us. And to also to pass on the education.
Yeah. I thought passing on the education and how to survive was the most important part.
How are you supposed to work if you haven't got, parents helping you? It's ours, isn't it? So in terms of evolutionary terms, I look at this, to be honest, some menopause stuff gets on my nerves. Davina McCall, God love her, I just see far too much of her and she's telling me far too much about the menopause that I'm just not interested in. But that kind of turn of fate, this is a new growth stage of life. This is an opportunity to be selfish and, not selfish, that's the wrong word really, but to look into you. I think the retreat thing is interesting. For me, I've always, my mentality around aging, I've always been able to really be supported by my older friends. I've always had friends who are older than me for some reason, and I'm definitely a woman's woman, but older women I've learned from a lot. And so what I found, one thing I love about menopausal women is they just don't give a shit anymore. I love it, they're not trying to please anyone, they're not looking for validation, just leave me alone kind of thing. But the other side of it is the skill set that they want to pass on and give to others that they have got. And I think the world, society needs to get onto that a bit more. If I want something done, I'll ask a busy woman. Do you know what I mean? Because I know they'll get it done. Yeah. And I think, the value in society, becoming invisible to men happens about 30. It doesn't happen at 60, it happens at 30. Not being on anyone's radar as, if you look at Mad Men and marketing and advertising thing, not really the world being onto the fact that we've got our own money and we can do our own things. So I think it's a fantastic, not just, I can see you doing it for your passion and what you want to do, rewards, but from a business perspective, I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's
very
a go
clear
with that.
Talk, yeah. So you talked about the retreats as one of your products. Are there any other? Because I just thought that was fascinating, and I agree with you. I think from other things, not necessarily from me, but other things I've seen.
Don't have to apologise for being a man.
But I've seen other retreats aimed at different audiences. That
silence retreats. Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I think silence and me just a no-go.
No, but I've made other retreats where it gives people an opportunity to be away and be able to really focus on what they've got to do themselves, so then they can return back to wherever. Well,
before you ask the question, Yvonne at the retreat on the Whittle was fantastic.
Residential. Let's make sure people don't think it was a retreat.
No, it wasn't a retreat, but yoga star. Everyone was like so impressed with yoga. But Yvonne comes down to breakfast the next morning and went, I feel like a brand new woman. And I was like, fabulous. That's what we wanted.
That needs to be definitely an evaluation. But yeah, so retreats are one of your products. What are the other products that you
online courses, and they will be tailored to different life events. So it could be bullying in the workplace. It could be like child loss. It could be menopause. What I'm finding that women is just kind of just a loss of identity.
Yeah.
Who am I?
I think this word trauma, you know, I think I went to see a workshop on that as well about trauma. I haven't got traumatic incidents in my childhood or anything, for example, but it's how you react to something, it's whether it's trauma.
Do you know what? I've got to laugh.
What you've got visions of?
You know, I just know the saying, you know, when some people say, I'm not the pain, I bring the pain. It's like, I haven't got trauma, I bring trauma. I cause trauma. But sorry, back to being serious.
That's quite fitting. I wouldn't argue with that. Okay. I'm happy to bring the pain, especially if it's to a man, Yaw. I'm happy to bring the pain. But, you know, I haven't got anything sort of what other people would describe as traumatic. But there's periods of your life, isn't there, that you can describe as... Like, having a miscarriage when I was younger, I was absolutely traumatised. I didn't want to be pregnant, so I didn't understand why that was traumatising, you know. But you, like, the minute you get pregnant, you become a mum in your mindset, and then it's taken away from you. And it's like, it was really traumatic. Like that, I can point to that as being trauma. But I think, you know, what I'm sensing, you know, from what I know about women, you don't resolve it at that time. You've got other people to look after. You've got other things to do.
And I think as well, as you said before, we look to the generation above. And often they've been taught to
just get on with
push it down, put it in a box, carry on. And I think we're living in a different society now where, you know, we're encouraged to talk about it, but we don't have that, maybe that...
The skills.
We don't have that alignment with our...
What I think's interesting then is when people in that space also lose... those people that were, you just deal with it. So then it's the identity loss is there. So if you had, you know, your mum or your dad who was like the rock, who used to be like, just get over it. You know, a lot of people in that bracket you were talking about that you're targeting lose that. And their kids are leaving home and they lose their parents. You can imagine they're at that point where they're like, who am I? Because for this last, whatever, 8 decades, I've been something for every single other people. Do you know what I mean?
Someone's mother.
This is like the kind of phase 1 that I'm doing. But the end phase is to have a community where we've got women who are kind of know their identity, are self-assured, and they are now then a role model, and they're passing on to our younger generation. Because I'm very conscious that although I might not fully identify with my daughter in the same way, I do recognise that the increase in young people with anxiety and mental health, and this, you know, like you were saying, Joanne, when we get to like 50 odd, we don't care. We've kind of learned, and we're like, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, you know. This is what I'm, you know, I will tolerate. This is my deal breaker. But for the young people who have now got all this pressure on social media to be absolutely perfect, my daughter won't step outside the door unless she's looking.
Awful,
and I just think, I don't know if I could, that is an extreme pressure.
But building that community of in real life of people, hopefully, you know what I mean, is important. But I think it's funny with like men during this period, because you say women will get to this point where they're like, I know what I want, I know what I don't want, and the men, I always think men, when they get to like 50, almost give up. So it's like they get less like, I want this and this is the thing. They almost just go, you know what, I'm just going to just do it. I'm sick of fighting. I think it's hilarious.
That's my phase 3. all this will filter out to the men.
But that was my nan and granddad. Actually, it was just a horror, like his whole life. And then from the stories I heard and how he was with me, I just remember this old man that was terrorised by everyone else and just doing as he was.
Just have an easy life after that.
Because I've already had a few men asking if they can come on the retreat, and I'm like,
not for you.
Well, I kind of
hold that space. I was about to say in the future,
I kind of think men need to deal with men a little bit. No, just a personal thing. I'm not talking about Yvonne's retreat. I remember someone asking me when I'd first become mayor, saying to me, do you think our black sisters are outstripping our black men and what they're doing? I was like, I'm not responsible for men. I'm responsible for my son. But I think if you want men to step up or take more action, I think other men should. Don't get me on my
I agree
about men.
By the way, I agree with what you said. I think black women have done so much. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of even like the community organisations that have done great work across the country are led by black women.
We're tired though.
Do you know what I mean?
I think
it's a lot, but I'm saying,
tired.
You know what I mean?
We were talking about this with Salome. Like, I'm tired of being perceived as strong. I'm tired of perceiving myself as strong. Like, I don't want to be strong. I don't want to be, that's what the perception is of me. I know I am because I've endured it. But just enduring something doesn't make it.
I'm sure Yvonne deals with a lot of women who say that same thing.
I kind of want to promote the thing that you can be both. You can be strong and you can be vulnerable. You don't have to be one or the other. Because we are both all the time. And I think I've recognised for myself that, I've been very self-sufficient. I haven't really had like a support network behind me. And that's worked for me. But I would like to be able to collaborate with other people and have support. That's a new pathway for me. Just asking.
Well, who we're having on today, I'm thinking you really need to connect is Ravimba. What she's doing, African dance, to get in touch with your identity again. I think you really should have a chat.
Some of her sessions are really interesting.
Well, funny you should say that. 2 weeks ago, I started African dancing in Cumberland Marnie.
Oh, right, okay. So, Ravimba, you should definitely sit down and have a chat. But what I want to ask you as well, because it's really hard in a business like this to focus on the business side. When it's about people and when it's about giving something to people that changes their life. So what have you found on the course that's benefited you? What's your growth been on the course?
Oh, it's just been brilliant being around like-minded people, ambitious. Because one of the things I've learned about when I started my previous business, there's that little intervening period at the beginning when people are like, oh,
you sure?
Don't do that. Are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you can succeed? Stay in a safe 9 till 5.
Yeah. I hate that, by the way.
And then as you go along, and that's probably the time when you really need the support. Yeah. And as you go along and it gets a bit more successful, they jump on board. And then they start promoting you, and then they're like, that's great. And wasn't it my idea that I told you to do that?
I laugh because it's all their fears. I say this all the time when people start something and people go, don't do it. I obviously speak to a lot of younger people, so it's like their parents saying, don't do it. And I said, that's just their fears of why they wouldn't do it. They're not saying you can't, but you've got to be able to split that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got to admit, I'm not a people pleaser, as you know. But so I don't look externally. I've got really, what's it called, rigid boundaries. Yeah. So I don't look externally to anybody. I don't look for their advice or input, and so I'm quite good at making those decisions. I've got a friend who's got porous boundaries, and she'll ask everyone's
opinion.
You've
read the book on boundaries, haven't you? Because you're using the correct terminology. And
no, she told me. She told me. She was like, "You've got rigid boundaries, and I've got porous boundaries." But she'd ask people their opinion and then get upset, and I go, "What are you telling them for? Like, just do it." Yeah. But sorry, go on. We interrupted.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So I can be very strong and single-minded, and I know what I want to do, and just go for it. But then there's, things happen in life, and then you might just get knocked off your perch a little bit.
Yeah.
And then so you do look around for a little bit of reassurance.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting for me this time because, I have had a business before.
Yeah.
This is like a new development of that. But things have changed so much.
Yeah.
With technology, with social media.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
It's just, so coming on the course, I just learned so much. So I knew
the other people.
Yeah, I knew the basics. And I was saying in one of my coaching sessions, I've always had this perception that I should be looking to someone more experienced than me, someone older than me who's got more skills. actually the people I learned the most from were the younger ones. And they just blew me away because there's like, and then they've got no fear.
Yeah.
Because, you know, fear comes when you've got like a family to support and
risk,
this, that and the
risk
other.
causes fear, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the risk is not as great for them, is it, to launch something,
Yeah, and then just the breadth of knowledge.
Yeah.
But then realising as well, they've grown up with that. That's normal to them.
I've seen you though. You've got a lot to give as well. So when I've seen you on sessions, you've helped other people. Whilst you're learning from them, you've really helped other people, and I've seen that. And I think if you stop learning from the kids, you stop learning. That, me personally, you know, I love to see what they're coming up with next. That's why I'm obsessed with TikTok and things like that. But you know, so I've seen you get a lot from the cohort, but also give. And I think it's important to give.
I've always had the concept that good ideas can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes in organisations, they think the good ideas come from the top and they trickle down.
Yeah.
Which I love that programme. What is it? Undercover Boss.
Oh, yeah. No, I
because
love that.
they go to the bottom and they realise some of their big ideas actually do not work. And it's actually Joe the cleaner who can see quite clearly where it's going wrong and has got a solution for it.
Yeah. And tapping into that is, you know, is critical, isn't it? And I think I'm not an ideas person, I'm a deliverer. And I think it's interesting, we've done another organisation I work with, we've done some team styles recently, Belbin team styles. And I'm a shaper, I always have been a shaper. Like, I'll upset everyone, but I'll get it done. So I'm the person who goes, but don't come for me for ideas, because I'm not the person who comes up with the best ideas. And I think people think leadership is the ideas person, and I don't think it's always that.
Well, I just think everyone's got skills and something to offer. And again, that's the whole concept behind this community I'm trying to build is you might need support now. Then once we build you up, you can pass that on and support somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, so business sides of stuff. What's been your key learning from a business perspective? So as you were saying, sort of, you've ran a business before, but kind of I think you were sort of talking about the structure, give you some ideas. But what's been some key learning for you?
So my previous business, it grew organically.
Yeah.
This time I now have to be, because I've got a very clear idea, very clear concept, I need to be very strategic about it. I need to be accountable.
Yeah. Well, who do you need to be accountable to?
To me. Because I'm so passionate about it. I want it to succeed.
I know, but that's a bit of pressure on yourself, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You start a business for yourself. You can do what you want with your business. You don't have to use your time.
Well, I'm not saying I've got to be a millionaire by this time next year, but
you want it to be successful.
It's keeping the traction going.
So you're much more purposeful and intentional about you doing it. So any skills from a practical sense? You know, I know you're getting coaching with Sabin, but you've been good and turning up to all the events, haven't you? You know, the reverse pitch. What did you think of that?
Oh,
you realise you don't want anybody's money,
or you just don't want anyone's opinion, or both.
No, it was
because I think it's funny with the idea of investment. It's like, so I get money, but I've got to kind of not be beholden to you, but I've got to put up with you having a...
Well, I love that I think people wouldn't suspect this, because people think I talk about investment a lot. It's not. It's just people don't know about it and I want to share it. When someone comes away and goes, I don't want that, that's a great outcome.
That's an outcome. You want people to have a stance, don't you, by the time they leave? But to
be informed.
Yeah.
I think just even knowing there was an investment was a possibility for me.
Yeah.
I think with my demographic... I never thought that door was open to me.
Yeah. And what's the statistics?
So,
really bad in terms of
women, in terms of women, it's quite bad. You know, obviously women have to work twice as hard and stuff. But in terms of a business model and idea, that's very sellable, especially from technology to it. And then if, you know, the ignorance of some people would have about this cohort of women and the income potential.
There's a lot of money there and people want it,
The barriers are on both sides though, I think.
Cultural and social reasons why it works.
What we found in other areas is that black people have, when they've been given investments, have kept it there for 6 months and haven't pulled it down. because they're fearful of themselves, but also from society's kind of impression that they'll tell them they wouldn't, they'll do it wrong kind of thing. But women have been running businesses for years, and they'll say things like, I don't really think I've got a business, and like, you've been going for 10 years and you employ 6 staff, like that's a business, but not being really sure. So there is barriers, but also, when black people go to the bank for money, they don't get money, there's real barriers, and there's also, perceived barriers. But yeah, learning that there's venture.
And I want to see people in this space that look like me.
Yeah.
I want it to be accessible, and I want it to be relatable to women like me.
In line with what you've just said, and kind of, the idea of going for investment, and, the fact that there probably aren't people that look like either of you getting real support in that space, or me, you know what I mean? As we talked off air about the idea of like being kept at a level, almost like a glass ceiling, being a female of colour. Would you talk about that? Because I'm intrigued at how that then connects with opportunities and learning, if that's around. But it's probably best you.
I look back to it probably about my early 20s, and I was just so enthusiastic. The world was my oyster. I was very independent, and I think different organisations I've worked for, and to some extent people around me, not maliciously, they've kind of like eroded some of that away. And it's been like, kind of, you're not going to be able to achieve to that level.
Other people's perceptions.
Or if I come up with an idea, it's like dismissed. But then if someone else comes up with that idea, it's accepted.
I get it where I'm invisible. I am 6 foot tall. I am not invisible. Do you know what I mean? So I even laugh now when it happens and it gets pointed out. So you imagine people's faces when I ended up the mayor, like I had seen their eyes, like the audacity, like who do you think you are, kinds of thing. And what was interesting about being a mayor, I'm not into having loads of power. I think that's loads of responsibility, and I'm just not into it. Very different reasons why I stood up for that. But men thought I would want to hold on to that power, which I didn't. The way people treated me when I was the power in the room, I want you to treat me the same at all times. I treat people the same at all times. And I could see people sometimes, like me going into a room as a black woman, as a professional, and introduce people and go, oh, hello. And then someone, if they said she's the mayor, people go, oh, hello. And now people do, she used to be the mayor. Oh, and it annoys me to death, because I just think,
it's funny, isn't it? Just to be able to watch
person.
that.
I'm still the same person. But, you're according to you, it's only whether I'm important to you is how you treat me.
Does that change in terms of also ideas that you might have, or responses? So did you feel a thing like, because you had that title, if you had that idea or inkling, people would support it in a different way than if you're not? Because I'm really intrigued about this. Like, I won't use the term imposter syndrome, because I don't think it is in that same box. But when you're saying, I've been in these places where I've got the energy, I've got the ideas, I've got the passion, but I'm just not being seen or supported.
And it took me many years to kind of, because I navigated that, and I started to make myself smaller than what I needed to be, to fit in, to be accepted, to be listened to. And then after so many years, I realised I've lost my voice. I've lost who I am. I'm not living my authentic self. And then when I kind of pushed back against that, then you became the loud, difficult black.
I was about to say, the phrase that I thought was going to come was the aggressive. Yeah,
so I've talked about this before, but I learned when I was about 19 that don't forget, I'm tall, so I'm going to be thought of as aggressive. So I'm aggressive at times, and I do not care, because I just think it doesn't matter what I'll do. I'll be viewed as aggressive black woman. Yeah. So I know people find me aggressive. I know people now will sit there and go, who does she think she is? But I was like that before I was the mayor as well,
So, do you ever say that when someone says, who do you think you are? Like, me?
No one says it. No one says it to your face.
But the idea of it, it's like, who do you think you are?
Me?
I don't think I'm anyone else but myself. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So it did make me howl a bit when we did the pitch.
Oh, yeah.
And Beth said, Yvonne, you must speak up, because you're so softly spoken.
Oh, right. It was like, yeah.
And I thought, is this because over the years, like, I've learned to kind of temper myself?
Honestly, I think Bet's a little bit hard of hearing as well, because she does it to me all the time.
But you know what's interesting? When you come in before we started this, I'll say, because you're so measured, you know, like the way T does it as well. T,
measured,
who's another one of your cohort, he's
Yeah.
like very measured, very patient. I actually think it's quite powerful because I feel like you lean in a little bit more as a listener.
Yeah.
I feel like you lean in, so it's a different type of power. Like, obviously, you said you don't know what's going through my head, so it might be something to do.
I think I've tried to find a middle ground.
Yeah.
So where I was that exuberant and I wanted all my ideas and my way was the only way, and because I was so focused and clear, I've had to take on board all those experiences that I've learned over the years. Yeah. But I'm not prepared to be in that little
Shrink
box
yourself,
anymore.
Yeah.
And be small. So I hope I found kind of a middle ground.
Well, I definitely haven't found the middle ground. So look, we're coming to the end, and I just were like, how's the business moved on since you've been on the programme? Because really, it is a business growth programme. I know that. What I love is that you've taken on all the experiences, you know, fully engaged and fully charged, as well as given. And I think that's the maximum you can do on the programme, you know, giving as well as getting, and kind of networking with others. But how's the business moved on since then?
So what I'm doing now is focusing on my visibility, growing my audience, branding. I'm getting new photographs done.
And this is something that you've learned, that, you know, in order, well, it's within this sphere of influence, aren't we? It's like what you were saying, I got immediately when you said within this new world, you know, setting up a business, particularly in this thing, like influence and the ability to have a social media presence will have so much impact.
And the people behind it, people want to know who I'm going to, who's running the retreat, who's designing the retreat, why them.
And that's something I wasn't used to before, because, you know, the client came to me and over time they got to know me, liked me and stuck with me. But I realise now I've got to project myself out there.
Especially through a phone or a screen. It's like, I've got to be able to look at you and go, that's the right person. So I need to go and trust, isn't it? And
it is, it's nerve-wracking if you're not used to it. But I've kind of I think part of the course has helped me overcome to be out there on social media and not have to be perfect, not have to look perfect.
Yeah. Because you can't, you'll never start, will you? If you put that, well, the pressure the kids are putting on themselves.
Because otherwise you just never get started.
Well, it's not just that. It's like identify with realness. It's funny, you know, someone was talking about teeth. You know, you can get that Invisalign now where people are doing that with the teeth. And I'm attracted to fellas who've got crooked teeth, not like not really bad teeth, but you know, like a little crooked one tooth or something. That's someone's I'm attracted to imperfection. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was just thinking of that John Legend song. It was like, you know, love your imperfections. Because that's what makes us all different.
But it's a little bit easier at our age, isn't it, at 50, to handle the imperfections. Okay, so, you know, what's your hope, you know, a couple of weeks before the end, you know, what advice would you give to someone? We usually ask this about age, but I want to sort of the start of the programme to where you are now. What would you advise someone to...
Who's just walked in the room at the residential and is about to start the programme. What advice would you give to them if you went back to speak to that person?
Have faith in yourself. No one can have more faith than you in yourself. The more faith you've got in yourself, the further that you'll go. Surround yourself. I always remember that phrase in my head. Millionaires are surrounded by millionaires.
Yeah.
You know, so whatever like avenue you want to go, surround yourself with those people. And if it's just Black business owners, then let it be that. If it's like a therapist, let it be that. But make sure they're positive and they are building you up.
Yeah.
And, you know, because there can be a lot of competitive. And I mean, that's one of the things I always have. I like support other therapists, you know, and then they bring their barriers down and it's like, we don't have to be in competition with one another. There's enough space out there for
There's
everybody.
enough clients, isn't there?
There's enough space, there's enough work,
yeah.
there's enough. But I really liked what you noticed. No one's picked that up before. You said the ambition of the other people on the programme, and no one said that. Everyone sort of enjoyed being part of a cohort, not particularly competitive with each other. I've noticed this on this programme, and others really supportive. And again, that's not down to us, that's on how you are with each other. But you noticed everyone's ambition, and it's nice to be around people who want to do things, isn't it?
And I think you can, like you said, help other people who just think, why can't we all succeed? We all can succeed. We all just need a little bit of help. I might need help here. You might need help here. Just help one another. You know, I'm quite passionate about, don't want to name names, but we heard that picture of the week and it was like, you've got to be ruthless. Yeah. And I'm like...
Oh, you mean in the investor pitch?
Yeah, I can get it in some...
Well, I loved it actually.
Environments, but I thought, no, we don't. And I want to kind of build up the opposite of that. Well, we don't have to be ruthless.
Well, I kind of love, what I love is the spectrum of people. So you've got social investors there and, you know, a pitch guy who's exited, sold a business, and what he wants is a savage with numbers. Now, I actually do enjoy a person who's a savage with numbers. I work with someone like that. I'm not a savage with numbers. Being savage with numbers really helps in business. It does. So I kind of get
got
that.
It.
Yeah, got it. But also, like, if you care more about your numbers than you care about your impact, then, you know what I mean? It's a different
kettle of fish. There's a gradient as well, and I think there's multi-millionaires who are hugely successful and happy and healthy who aren't savages, and there's multi-millionaires who are happy, who are savages, and I think it's us all finding our space. And I think obviously everything you said today about your work and your clientele, it's probably about that. But it's like happiness is relative to the person and what they want to do.
I want to promote that good guys don't end up last. Why can't good guys end up first? Why can't you be ambitious, focused, but be kind and supportive?
Well, you can.
You can do all those things.
You can. And I think, you know, women in particular got told that, you know, a lot of women, I've probably been guilty of it myself, would sort of display male-dominated traits in the workplace because that's the only thing that got ahead. And now I kind of, you know, at this unapologetic myself. You know, sometimes I have masculine traits, sometimes I have very feminine traits. And, you know, I don't really feel them that much. When I do something kind to Yaw, he's like, empathy, softness.
She sent me a voice note a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Is that nice? It sounds like you like me." She's like, "No, burn in hell, Yaw."
Never. But yeah, I think you can do all of that, and I think I've been an authentic leader in what I've done, but I was authentic a long time ago, knowing that it lost me work at times. You know, knowing that a lot of people don't like me. But at least I can look myself in the mirror and be true to myself. And I kind of get, maybe my journey was different, and maybe I think probably because of divorce, my journey was able to start way further back. But I think in terms of, that's what I see you kind of doing for others, helping them to get to that place where they can be themselves and unapologetic about it. Yeah.
And I mean, I've always wrapped in my work that my Angelou phrase about, you know, people can forget what you've done and forget what you've said, but they never forget how you made them feel.
And people can make you feel awful with the littlest
words. With my clients, I always want them to, you know, that feeling, that so they've had a positive experience, that it's impacted their lives, that it's pushing them to the next step. That's underlying everything I'm doing.
How do you manage the uncomfortableness though? Because actually, for growth, you know, an experience. You know, I want that. I want people to have a positive experience on the program. I also need them to be a little bit uncomfortable at times because they need to grow. How do you cope with that side of stuff?
I'm not saying that it's all got to be all
happy and shiny.
Yeah, it's not happy shiny rainbows. You know, you've got to push each other. You've got to be challenging. You've got to get out of your comfort zone. But I just think it can be done in a kind way.
Yeah.
That's my and I get it that different people respond to different ways, but that's my way. And I just think a lot of women that I'm targeted, that are a bit battered, that are a bit bruised, they're a bit... They want that push, but they don't want the Sergeant Major.
I'm loving it. I think imagine you with Saba. I reckon your coaching thing must be the most positive. Must be like a Care Bears. You know the Care Bears out there? It's like heart and love going behind through the screen.
I'm just thinking about Amy asking me to shout at her. I was saying I can't do coaching because I see Amy all the time, and I went, I can't, Amy, because I'll just shout. And she was like, no, I want that. And I was like, well, let's look into that because that's not a good...
well, I said to her on one of mine, I said, I don't want to be too tough on you because you got to look on it. She goes, no, be tough. I was like, okay. So sometimes.
Yeah, no, I mean, people respond well to different things. I'd respond well to Sergeant Major. No, I remember me driving lessons when I was young, and I'd had loads of driving lessons. I wasn't doing very well, and then I had this sexist fella who kept pointing at the mirror, and I didn't wear makeup at that age, but that's for your lipstick, and he wound me up. No, but I passed my test straight away with him.
Back in the day, I suppose you could say them right now. You could probably get them kicked out.
I know, but like I you know what I mean. I've got an energy. I know, but I've got an energy.
You're triggering me about...
sorry.
Because my instructor used to come with his tea.
Go ahead, with his tea, man. He was doing his lesson.
And that was me.
At least
because I was so young.
At least he trusted you to be able to eat his food with you. Do you know what I mean? That's quite
I was so young. I just didn't realise that you're crossing a boundary here. It made me feel uncomfortable.
You're meant to be working here. I'm paying you. You're eating your tea.
Shouldn't you be watching what I'm doing rather than eating your fish and chips?
Do you know what? I don't think any of my driving instructors would have at all took their eye off the ball like that with me.
But he wanted you to get lipstick, though.
I am, and it's horrible to admit. Actually, I can't believe I'm admitting it here, but a rage will drive me sometimes. You know what I mean? When
you need that fire.
I don't take much on external validation, but when someone tells me I can't or thingy, like I will get driven by that in a way.
By the way, it's quite fun when you get triggered. Like in that manner. Like sometimes you're never going to do anything with that. And I'm like, oh, this is actually quite fun. Like something can just tip her over the edge, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think when you're in business and when you try to work in the city as well and the city region, you can deal with a lot of, what did someone call it the other week? You get passed from pillar to post that much that you just burn all your energy running from pillar to post. Yeah. And that can happen. So sometimes I can let, I let most things slide, but sometimes you just go, oh no, it's not on. Do you know what I mean? And I think for me, like business support and, business support in the region, I want it to be much more face-to-face. I want it to be with a nominated person. I want you to have your person you go to for business support. Whereas lots of situations, resources-wise and everything, why people can't do it. But like, I just get turned off from a website. You know what I mean?
You want to know who the person
I want a person to, even if a person tells me to go to websites, at least I've had some interaction.
I've never had any engagement with, apart from when I started my first business 20 years ago. Since then, the only people I had engagement with in terms of business development, actual business development, was you and the Kindred team, Erica. Okay. Because if I don't know someone and I don't feel like they see me, I don't want any, and regardless of people saying, well, you should have gone to X person in Liverpool City or whatever. Yeah. It's like, not saying I don't care to, but I just, all that barrier and that faceless thing. When they send me a website with 20,000 words on and I can't see a person's face on it, I'm not going to email this anonymous email address that says business support at something because I don't want to go through that process. And I think that's a massive
I think there's so
barrier.
much choice out there now. Yeah. It's like scrolling. You can go onto one site and then another site, and then before you know it, you're just lost. Yeah, you're lost in information. Yeah. I just genuinely like people.
Yeah, you can see that.
And I like talking to people and I like getting to know them. I like the story. I know where I worked before the word boundaries kept getting sold to me. Oh, boundaries. And I was like, no, I'm going to work to my boundaries because this works for the client and this works for me.
I only like people up to 8 o'clock at night, and then I absolutely have to have no people around whatsoever. But so finally, just where would people find you? How can people get in touch with you?
So you can either find me under my name, Yvonne Hanson, on LinkedIn, or my business page on Instagram, Pathways to Alignment.
Thanks, Yvonne.
So do get in touch.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to the Innervision Business Beyond Barriers podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can check out more on the Innervision YouTube channel.
The business programme itself was commissioned by the Liverpool City Region Combined Authority Race Equality Hub, and this podcast is produced by Nothin but the Music.